All right. Good win, good win. And, look, obviously Citadel played us very close down in Charleston and really, had multiple chances to beat us, and in some ways, outplayed us in a lot of ways. And we got fortunate, won the game in overtime. And, I thought our guys really approached the game with the right mentality tonight. And, we're trying to continue to climb and get the best. And, we decided just based off of the first game, we had some success late in that game. We were down 8, and we went to the zone there, and I thought we did a good job getting back in the game, and so we wanted to mix it in a little bit tonight, and didn't intend to play it as much as we did. It's not something that we go to all the time. We use it more as a situational zone, but I thought it just gave us good energy tonight, and I thought our guys flew around. I think we had 47 deflections, which would be a high, and ever since I can remember tracking deflections as an assistant or head coach. So credit our guys there. I thought our activity was really good, and I thought our defense was really good, and I thought that set the tone for us. And then offensively, 23 assists, 15 made threes, 9 turnovers. Usually that's our recipe, and great to see Tom House have another game. He's really kind of settling into that third scoring option for us on the perimeter, and great time to do it. So proud of our group. Thought they've really handled the last couple of days, their focus and their intensity, and to come out and get a win. That team tenth of a second from beating Chattanooga at Chattanooga, and Ed has done a tremendous job. And listen, people don't understand how hard this stuff is. You can say, well, they haven't won in the league yet, but the amount of games. Our game at Western, their Wofford game recently, the Chattanooga game. They've had some heartbreakers, and to keep fighting the way they have, that's a credit to a great culture, a great coach, and they're competing now. They are competing, and look, they didn't make shots early. That was part of it, right? We were on fire, and they couldn't get one to fall. But he's done a really good job with that group, and they've continued to compete really hard.
Coach, quite a bit this season. You've seen double-digit leads whittle down. What did it mean tonight to see that kind of defensive intensity never let up and maintain that double-digit lead from start to finish?
Yeah, I think that's college basketball right now. You watched Georgia, Florida last night. Georgia's up 22. Florida takes a lead, and then Mike and his team do a great job of recovering and end up still winning the game. The pace of play, the three-point line, and the parity within the game, right? It feels like there's more emotion with teams, in terms of just on fire or ice cold, and then just kind of all of a sudden stuff flips, and then you see these wild runs. We've seen it a lot in the league. Chattanooga. You go down the line, Sanford. Us. Just shifts, and so, I even thought Saturday here versus VMI, I thought we had a couple opportunities in that game where up 11 again, and then we were up 10 again, but we couldn't just push it, we couldn't get quite clean enough on offense to really push the margin. And that's what we've talked about a lot the last couple of days is you can't get leads and have bad turnovers, take bad shots, and then give another team hope and let them come back in the game. You got to find ways to push it. If it's at 10, get it to 15. If it's at 15, get it to 20. At least that's your intent. We want to keep playing well. And I do think we've had a tendency at times to relax a little bit, or maybe we'll take this shot now that we wouldn't have taken earlier. And we talked a lot about that in team meeting on Monday, and really going into this game, regardless of what the score was, we're getting to tournament time. We need 40 minutes of clean basketball, and clean basketball is taking care of the basketball, taking great shots, getting the shots that we want, and making sure that this ball, that the purpose of what we're doing with the basketball, we're doing it every single possession. I thought we did a better job of that tonight.
You mentioned the defense, and I know offensively it's easy to say, that team's in a rhythm. Is it possible to get in a defensive rhythm? And to that point, it's really hard to pass over those two guys in the zone, out front. They were having a hard time of figuring that out. Could you just talk about Charles and I think Garrett and Cooper at times having the effect on the game that they did tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that it obviously, in this particular game, it energized us. And, Garrett and then Dave and then Coop and then Chuck. We also have some long wings, and so you've got Ben over there, you got Tom House over here. You got some real length out there. And, so absolutely, I think there's – when you get in a defensive rhythm and you know that what you're doing defensively is having an effect on who you're playing against, then yes, I mean, there's definitely let's keep doing this. And like I said, we didn't come into the game with intent to play the zone as much as we did. And but I mean, when they went man, when we went man, you could just see it. I mean, they ran a crisp offense and they're cutting and they're flying around and they're coming off the scissor cut and they're posting us look way different, and sometimes what that zone does is you're going to give up some threes in that zone, but it's really hard to just run like flow. It's really hard to run like a motion against it. So if people get hot on it and they start popping threes, then it puts you in a situation, like I was sitting there tonight, thinking that there haven't been many games in our time here that we've stayed in it that long. But I did think for this particular game, with the way they play, they're really good at decking the ball, they're really good at posting the ball. And so I wanted to try to keep the ball in the box as well as we could. And I thought that was something in this particular game that was going to give us an ability to do that.
Two quick ones for you, Coach. The first, y'all opened up in the zone this evening, did you not?
Did.
Yeah, I thought I saw that on the first defensive drive. Y'all came out right there with the zone. And then we just talked to Garrett. He was babysitting the basketball. How was it for you seeing him get that milestone this evening?
Well, it's always neat to see guys, get rewarded for their effort and really their loyalty. And, Garrett's been in a lot of big games and had a lot of good moments here. And, you cut him open, he's going to bleed purple. And, he's got 100 wins. He scored 1,000 points. He's got a conference championship. He's got an NCAA tournament win. I mean, he got everything and more out of this experience that he wanted to get out of it. And he was loyal and he stayed the course. And, Garrett had different spouts of adversity, of having to work through some things and having to figure some things out. But, he always stayed committed and he's always stayed loyal. And, the reward you get out of that when you can see real growth and you can see guys that, stick to why they came here, for the reasons they came here, and then you see the payoff for it. You can see the team's energy when he hit that three and just how much that meant to the whole team. And, couldn't be more proud of him, and I told him it was ironic he did it on a three ball. But you know what? He's been working on his three a lot here lately, and he's been spending more time on it. And Garrett can shoot. I mean, that's part of why we signed him out of high school. And he's somebody that can knock shots down. And to see him go 2 for 4 tonight, and to see him shoot it with the confidence he shot it with, that gives us another element. If late in the year he can start sticking a few from the edges for sure.
Coach, tonight you guys just hit the largest margin victory in the SoCon this entire year. That's a pretty cool stat. What did that mean to you going into this tournament to have that that chip on your shoulder a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple. I guess it's the least amount of points we've had a team score on us in my 8 years. And then, to have that margin of victory tonight. Look, we've got a good team. And we got off to this crazy hot start. We won a lot of close games, and then we won our fair share of good games. But look, the ball was bouncing our way early. And it probably inflated a little bit of expectation for what this group could do, as if we were going to go, 29-2. You know what I mean? That probably wasn't going to happen. And then you know what? We went through a little adversity right in the early middle of conference play, and we've come out on the other side of it. And you could really argue that we're playing our best ball, that we're playing better than we even did when we were in that non-conference run. And I think that's what adversity can do, right? If you look at it and you figure it out and you build from it, look, it can make you stronger than when you went into it. And I think this team, as a staff and as a team, We've had to figure some things out. We've had to adjust some things. We've had to take some responsibility for some things. But I've been extremely proud of this group of how they've grown through the season and all the things thrown their way. Right? I mean, 70% of scoring out the door. Hey, get out of your arena. We're renovating it. We're putting $40 million into it. So you got to go practice at 2 other places on campus, and then you got to play home games at 3 different places, and then to go through a season where they're this connected this late. And I guess, we've won 3 in a row now. I guess that's 7 out of 10. Which like I said, like this is when you want to get hot, and in this league, the reality of all this is there's going to be 9 teams that are really disappointed, and there's going to be 1 team that's really happy. And we've got to put ourselves in a position to go be that 1 team that's really, really happy. But we've got 1 more regular season game to go before that, and we got to rest up from this, and then we got to close out the season well, and that's going to be a big challenge at Wofford. And Dwight does a great job, and they've got old guys that are vets that play really hard. So we got to get our attention on that, and then Asheville will be waiting on us after that.
We kind of just answered my question, but you've often talked about don't get too high, don't get too low. I mean, kind of hard to not get too high after you win like this tonight, but this is the first time you've won 3 straight games since December into January 1st, and it would seem like that up and down through the conference play. Now you've won 3 straight. You got to be at your most confident going over there to play that tough rival that performed well here the first time y'all met, so there's still a lot of motivation even after a big win like tonight. Absolutely,
but I think the teams that win this time of year are the ones that can just kind of stay in the middle. Like Lou Holtz, right? Like nothing's ever as good as it seems, nothing's ever as bad as it seems. You just got to get to the next, and we've got to enjoy tonight. I mean, that's win 22. That's one of our most complete games of the year. Like we've got to be able to look at that and say, okay, this is why we did it. This is what the good was from it. And then we got to quickly put our attention on, hey, what are some things out of this game that we could have done better? And then put a game plan together and then just get to the next one. And, every single game stands on its own 2 feet. And I told the guys, we talk about that a lot. And we talked about that going into this game. I didn't want them bringing – the emotional baggage that, hey, we could have easily lost down in Charleston. And we got fortunate there. And we only scored, 50-something points in regulation. Like, hey, like that was that game, right? And that game won't have – that's not going to have any effect on this next game. I mean, our league's been crazy this year with that stuff. I think they sent out something this week that the home record was like 1 less win than the road record, And so – that shows the parity in the league. That shows the good teams in this league. I mean, good gracious, like if this league had the money to buy games, okay, when you look at what the Missouri Valley does, you look at what the Mountain West does, you look at even what some of the bigger teams in the Colonial do, when you can buy games and you can play more home games and you can lock in your numbers. I'm telling you right now, this isn't the 13th best league in the country. That's crazy. Okay, like that's insane. Like we're 10 or 11 or somewhere in there, but because we have to go out as a league and get bought, right, and you got to go on the road a lot. Well, those numbers get locked in right there. We've all heard the laughing tweets about 500 in the SEC. Well, every league's 500 once you get to league play. Okay, like every league's 500. So when you get in these numbers, at some point, like if we get to a point where we have enough revenue in our league that we can start buying games like some of these leagues around our level, you're going to see that we can make another jump as a league. But you're telling me Chattanooga, ETSU, Wofford, Sanford, Greensboro, us, like, okay, that's sick. Now VMI, okay, then Mercer, then Western Carolina, like look what Tim's doing with his team now, right? Look what Ed's doing with his team. Like this league is a war. And I don't think people quite understand that. I don't think people quite, because we don't get the notoriety. We don't quite have the national TV games, but people that know ball, they know. And they understand. And that's why we've been able to grow, because of the challenge of the league. But 13th, that's crazy. That's all that is non-conference metrics. And that's our league having to go on the road a bunch. And not having the amount of home games that we need to manipulate those numbers in a way where we can really lock in before we get to league play. And hopefully in the next couple of years, as all this stuff starts shifting and things like that, this is a heck of a basketball league. And, the fans know it, the fans appreciate it. But, man, it's I've been in this league a while now, and it just seems to keep getting better. And the parity in this league right now is unreal. And so I say all that. It's going to be a heck of a tournament up in Asheville, and hopefully our fans have their tickets. I know it's something that it's been a fun tradition for us, and the fans going up there and getting there early, staying at the hotel, being around the team. Hopefully everybody's planning to be up there and support this team, because they've worked their tails off this whole year, and to put themselves in the position they put themselves in here lately, I couldn't be more proud of them.
Every team's looking for sort of a middle edge coming down the stretch, going into March and this time of year. I feel like, I guess Furman and Sanford really have sort of that. And you guys, 2 years ago, you mentioned the word calloused a lot. Well, this team has been calloused in a lot of different ways this year. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's I think, seasons take forever. I mean, they're just lifetimes, man. They're up and they're down, and you got to get to the next, and you got to deal with winning, you got to deal with losing. You learn, you adjust, and then all of a sudden it kind of just gets to the end, and you got to put it all together. And we all hate losing. You hate losing in sport, you hate losing in business, you hate losing in life. But man, losing can, like, I told our team this a couple weeks ago, like, when you get broken, your best is required. And like sometimes in life we forget that. Like we look at like bad moments with teams of like, man, this is so bad. No. Like, if this is handled correctly and we utilize this will create a better form of us than we had before we went through this. Because when you're broken, like your best is absolutely required to get to the other side of it. But then when you do, like you realize another form of you that you didn't have before you went through that. And we all live in this state of like we're all seeking comfort. But sometimes when you go through moments where it's not comfortable, you find out a little bit more about who you are. And I could sit here for 30 more minutes and tell you all the stories this year. Look at Tom House's growth. I mean, are you kidding me? It feels like 6 games ago he didn't go in the game one game. And now you think Mercer here, you think tonight, you think of shots he's made in big games for us, and the swagger that he's playing with, the confidence he's playing with. Well, guess what? Like, He went through a time of he was broken. Look at what Tyrese has done for us here late. Just a little spark, right? Like hit the 3 at Sanford, like came in and gave us a little spark. I mean, he wasn't even playing for a lot of the year. But like he rose to the occasion on that. I mean, Ben and G getting painted for all that time. You got to go figure it out. Like all of a sudden G's 2 for 4 from 3 tonight. He had to go get on the gun. He had to go every morning at 10 o'clock. He went in there and shot. Because it's like, best is required. And those are the things as a coach and all this stuff that's going on in this business right now, that's the most rewarding thing, right? To be able to have a group of people that you can have a winning season and you can compete for championships, but that you can ultimately look back on and say, did we get to the best version of what this group could do? And that's where it's been neat to see them have to go through what they've been through, and to be peaking at the right time. Couldn't be more proud of them.
So the stat sheet got pretty deep there this evening, Coach. Can you just speak to what it meant to get a lot of those guys playing time leading up to Asheville, and like we were just talking about, playing your best ball coming down late? What was the playing time, and was that kind of the theory once y'all got to that big lead?
Well, I mean, you just want to win with class, and I didn't think it was necessary to continue to have PJ and Nick out there with us being up by 49 points, and just gives Ed and PJ a chance to catch their breath. I mean, they've been beat on all year, and so they get to relax for a little while. They still got 25 minutes of action, and then those guys, those scout team guys, they work their tails off. I mean, he's been a work while you wait guy all year. And he's been persistent with it, man. He's in the gym all the time, and to see him go out there and knock that shot down, it was neat. Tommy's had an incredible attitude here down the stretch. He's been a joy to coach. You want to see those guys get rewarded. You want to see them play, and then to get the walk-ons in was pretty cool. And I think Tilly had his own fraternity here, so they were chanting pretty hard. He's been great. So, to see all those guys get to go in there, J-Mo and Clyde and all those guys to get a few minutes, they work hard. So you get opportunities, you definitely want to reward that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Hey, last thing real quick. That press conference with Jackson the other day caused a little angst in my family. So my son Mac back here, all right, I had to remind him that he's never been to a press conference as a 3-year-old when I've been a head coach. but he's been with me every step of the way. He's back there in the back right now. So he told me, he's like, man, Dad, I've never been up to the table at a press conference. So that it's funny when you have 4 kids, right? You got to all balance a little bit. But my man's back there. He's been with me every step of the way. He was 5 years old. True story. He was 5 years old when I had to go take my first scrimmage at Radford, and back in 2017, and I was nervous as heck. And I'll never forget this the rest of my life. But he asked his mom at 5. He said, "Can I go with Dad?" And I was like, "Man, am I going to be able to handle a 5-year-old? I got to figure out this scrimmage." And so I took him with me. Got on the bus. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember I was nervous as heck the night before in the hotel, and he was knocked out on the bed. And I looked at him and I was like, I got kids, I got a family. Like, there's no way I'm going to be nervous as heck every single night in these hotels for the rest of my career. And he's always been a good stabilizer for me. But every day it doesn't fail. He comes up to me. He's like, "How you feel about tonight?" And I tell him all the time the same way I do about every game. So he's back there. I had to give him a little shout out. Love you, bud.